Raspberry Juice. The house of Raspberry Juice stood at the edge of a forest. It had yellow curtains, green windows, and red shutters. The animals in the forest were wondering, "Who is Raspberry Juice?" But no animal knew. In the afternoon, the giraffe walked along the path. And who did she meet? The lion. "Hello, lion." "Hello, giraffe. Do you want to come with me?" "Where to, lion?" asked the giraffe. "I am going to find out who Raspberry Juice is," replied the lion. "Good," said the giraffe. They went on and on until they came to a house that had red shutters, green windows, and yellow curtains. The lion rang the little bell on the door. "Who is ringing?" shouted Raspberry Juice. "We are," called the lion and the giraffe. "Giraffe and lion." "Good," shouted Raspberry Juice. "What do you want?" The giraffe and the lion called out, "To know who you are." "I am Raspberry Juice," said Raspberry Juice. "No," they said together. "Which kind of animal are you? Please open the door for us." "I will not open," Raspberry Juice shouted. "It is a secret." "What should we do?" the giraffe asked the lion. "I have an idea," the lion whispered to her. "We will hide until Raspberry Juice comes out of his house, and then we will see who he is." They went and hid behind a wide bush. The lion said sadly, "But giraffe—" "What?" asked the giraffe. "Your neck can be seen. Your head can be seen. Raspberry Juice will notice and will not leave the house." "So what are we going to do?" asked the giraffe. "I have an idea," replied the lion. "We will hide behind a tall tree." They hid behind a tall cypress tree. The giraffe said sadly, "But lion—" "What?" asked the lion. "Your head can be seen. Your tail can be seen. Raspberry Juice will notice and will not leave the house." They were both sad and did not know what to do. Then the lion said, "Oh, I have an idea. You will hide behind a tall tree, and I will hide behind a wide bush." The lion hid behind a wide bush. The giraffe hid behind a tall tree. Standing quietly and silently, they looked at the house of Raspberry Juice. Suddenly, the door opened, and a small, white, nice, beautiful leg popped out. "Here is Raspberry Juice!" shouted the lion. Raspberry Juice heard the shout and immediately closed the door. "You see," said the giraffe angrily, "because of you." The lion wept and promised that he would not shout again. They stood quietly in silence and waited. Suddenly, the door opened. And what did they see? 2 long ears, white, shiny, and smooth. "Here is Raspberry Juice!" shouted the giraffe. Raspberry Juice heard the shout and immediately closed the door. "You see," the lion said angrily, "because of you." The giraffe cried and promised not to shout again. Standing quietly and silently, they waited. And then the door opened and they saw a white leg, and then another white leg, 2 long white ears, and a small white body. They stood quietly, and they did not shout. And here at last, Raspberry Juice the rabbit. Raspberry Juice took a shovel and started to dig in the garden. We already know who you are, called the lion and the giraffe from behind the trees. No one knows who I am, said Raspberry Juice. It is a secret. But we know who you are, and you do not know where we are, cried the giraffe and the lion. Raspberry Juice looked in all directions and did not see any animal. So who am I? He shouted. Let me see if you know. You, said the giraffe. You are an elephant. Oh, replied Raspberry Juice. Nonsense, that is not true. Then you, said the lion. You might be a mosquito. Ha, 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 laughed Raspberry Juice. Nonsense, that is not true. You, said the giraffe, you are a tiger. Row, row, row. Not true, said Raspberry Juice. A frog, said the lion. Wrong, said Raspberry Juice. A pig? asked the giraffe. Wrong, said Raspberry Juice angrily. A hedgehog, called the lion. Nonsense, said Raspberry Juice. A rabbit, shouted the giraffe and the lion together. How did you know? asked Raspberry Juice, being so surprised he forgot to close his mouth. We found out, they said, and came out from behind the trees. Do you want to be our friend? Okay, replied Raspberry Juice. But what shall we do? A competition, the lion announced. A competition, the giraffe yelled. A competition, a race around the trees and up to the house. 1, 2, 3, go, counted Raspberry Juice, and they all began to run. Raspberry Juice ran fast, skipped and jumped, ran and skipped. He jumped and ran past the lion, then past the giraffe. Arriving at the house, he went inside and closed the door. The giraffe arrived, huffing and puffing. The lion arrived, huffing and puffing. They looked down and up, right and left, forward and backward. Raspberry Juice was gone. The lion rang the little bell on the door. Who is ringing? shouted Raspberry Juice. We are, called the lion and the giraffe. Giraffe and lion. Ha, 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 laughed Raspberry Juice and opened the door in front of them. And then he said, If you are my friends, then come into my house. The lion and the giraffe entered the house with green windows, red shutters, and yellow curtains. Raspberry Juice served his friends with candies and cookies and peanuts and chocolate. And also gave them to drink a very sweet raspberry juice in tall glasses.